Hi everyone, Diana Rankin here. Had a little trouble getting online here today, but we're all set with your weekly message and a few things to say about perhaps a prediction or two. But for the main predictions, please go to my monthly. July's, I got that out, last week or the week before? And so July's out, and I will if I remember, I will put the link below. But if not, just Google my name for July 2020 predictions, and it should come up. Or go to my channel and click on videos, and it'll come up there. This is number 28, the 28th week of 2020, and this is for July the 5th through the 11th. And the 5th is a full moon. So I'm not an astrologer, as you know, but if many of you, myself included, have had some trouble sleeping this past week, and I think the full moon has something to do with that. I normally notice around the full moon that energy is so strong that I tend to not sleep through the night. So that may be why. Whoops, sorry for the noise, dropped something there. But it may also be we're in a tough energy, and I want to say the worst of it is going to last probably through the 7th, maybe into the beginning of the 8th. It should ease up a little bit by the 8th, however, and it won't be quite as tough as what we're going through right now. I want to also say there are a lot of predictions out there that are telling us that Trump will not get reelected, or will not get reelected, that Biden will take the election. And I want to say the same thing was said about Hillary Clinton in 2015. So let's not get complacent, my friends. It's a little scary right now what's going on, but the vote is going to be extremely important. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's not something I want to say. Unless things change, Biden will not get in, and that doesn't mean it'll be a fair election. I think that the majority of the people will want Biden in office. However, I don't think that's going to happen unless some things shift, because there's a lot going on that is being set up to keep Trump in the presidency. So that said, our question this week, thank you for those of you who send in questions. I really appreciate that. And I get to learn too, because a lot of these are questions I wouldn't think to ask. So I really appreciate that. We are, of course, going to get an answer from one of my books, the Master's Book of the Answer, and it's just an oracle book. So each page has a different wisdom. So we will get our soul message in a few minutes here. And I want to thank each and every one of you who come and come back. And I want to thank each of you who comment. I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate your telling your friends. And most of all, I appreciate your kindness and your love. You know, every once in a while, somebody is their comments are unkind, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Silly. They have no meaning for me, and don't let them bother you, because on this channel we practice love. That doesn't mean we don't speak out, obviously, but we practice love, because that's what we're going to change. That's what we're doing in this world. And that's not always an easy change, to practice love. And it can bring forth protesters. It can bring forth angst and anger and certainly erratic energies. And we are experiencing that. And my friends, we're going to experience more of that, which is why it is so important for you to take care of yourselves. It is so important that you not let the anger take over, or the fear take over. You know, there's too much anger on both sides. And we have to be in a place of love if we're going to really change our world. We have to. And love is stronger than fear. love allows us to really reach out to each other. I get angry. It's not to say don't get angry. It's to say, look at what that anger is and use it appropriately. That said, our question for Philip this week, it's actually a double question. Who is the Antichrist and when will he come? Who is the Antichrist and when will he come? And here's what Philip has to say. We get a little theology lesson before he actually answers the question. But what he says is this particular question is specific to the Christian religion, although there is a similar reference to an evil figure in Islam and in Judaism. I also think in Zoroastrianism and a couple of other faiths that it's not called the Antichrist, but it's the same principle. Philip goes on to say, I will keep our discussion to the Christian reference so as to avoid confusion and also to reach an answer beyond the specific religion. Now, many of you have heard me say, I'm not a religious person. I am a deeply spiritual person. I do believe in the power of love, and I believe everything is energy. So I like that Philip says that he is going to give us an answer beyond the specific religion. So those of you who are non-religious, or those of you who are, this answer is for all of us. Reference to the Antichrist is in the second book of the Bible, referred to as the New Testament in Christianity. The Antichrist is a person who will claim to be a savior of people, but will instead cause death and destruction. Now that's the definition in the Christian Bible, which is the Second Testament, the New Testament. To many, the Antichrist will seem to be the second coming of the Christ, to soon be followed by the end times. And I think that gets a little confusing if you don't know Christianity. It's the Antichrist and then the second coming, and then it goes on to the rapture. But Philip goes on to say, according to Christian theology, the second coming foretells of the rapture, or when those who practice this religion will be with their Lord. So that gets a little confusing there. What's the Antichrist? What's the rapture? When does the Christ come? And I don't know that that's all that important to. So if you got a little confused, don't worry about it, because what Philip has to say is the most important is still coming. This is only a brief definition of the Antichrist provided to give those unfamiliar with the term Antichrist a reference. Now to the question, who is the Antichrist and when will he come? We know there are many who live in the U.S. and elsewhere who want to hear the current president is the Antichrist. But let us use the term more universally rather than the narrow interpretation of one religion. In doing so, we can see that whenever we act in an unloving manner, we are creating the Antichrist. I'm going to repeat that because that's the message right there, friends. Whenever we act in an unloving manner, we are creating the Antichrist. Instead of seeing one human as the Antichrist, see the Antichrist as a formation of energy. Every thought formed in hate, anger, fear adds to the energy of the Antichrist. See Christ as a formation of the opposite energy. Every thought formed in love is the Christ consciousness. If one equates the Christ consciousness with love, then the Antichrist is the opposite. Throughout the ages, there have been those thought to be the Antichrist, as described in the Christian Bible. This thought takes away the responsibility of the individual and places it upon the head of one person. I'm going to reread that too, because I think that is really important as well. This thought, if we think of one person as being the Antichrist, this thought takes away the responsibility of the individual and places it upon the head of one person. If we can point fingers and blame all evil on one figure, then we do not have to look within. This view negates any self-responsibility. As humans progress in spiritual development, more responsibility is taken for one's thoughts and actions. As one understands that everything is energy, the Christ and the Antichrist, awareness of one's responsibility grows. As one's awareness of self responsibility grows, one chooses love over hate, anger, or fear. To answer when will the Antichrist come, surely you know the answer. That which is harmful to the human spirit has been here for eons. It is the work of the human to transform the Antichrist to the Christ, for each to become the anointed one. It is then the world will know love and peace. It's our responsibility, each of us, yours and mine, not just one person. That's a little harder to take, that we all have that responsibility to model the Christ-like experience of love. All right, we're going to just flip through here. There we go. And I'm hearing right page. If you heard right page, that means your intuition's right up there. If you heard left page, please pay attention, because that's also a message you need to hear. And I always read both pages. So here's the right page. This is a tough one. The growth of a mighty oak comes after many harsh winters. The growth of a mighty oak comes after many harsh winters. Well, even though it's summertime where I am, obviously, and it's a beautifully hot day, but it's a beautiful summer day here. This still applies. The growth of a mighty oak comes after many harsh winters. So, my friends, we're going through some harsh winters. We will get through it together. We will hold each other through this, and we will see the other side. We are here. Our souls have asked for this for a reason, and that is to help turn the world into greater love and greater awareness of what love is. On the left side, it says, be who you are and not who you think you should be. Be who you are and not who you think you should be. So be the truth of yourself. Take care of yourselves. We're not in an easy period of time. This is a rough time. I always say, as souls, we didn't read the small print. I know I certainly didn't. And this is a time where I know a lot of us are having difficulty catching our breath. It kind of feels like a lot's going on, and a lot is going on. I don't know all that's going on. I know there are strange things taking place. I was told, for example, I shared with you before, I live in a woods, and I have, within the woods, there's a clearing, and then I have a non-cleared woods. And I was told basically to stay out of that woods, the forest part of the woods. And when I was told that, I ignored it, and I went in, and that's when I broke my shoulder, which is healing. But today, this is interesting, and if you have any ideas about what I saw, let me know. I have a 900-foot lane, and I had walked down the lane this morning with Daisy Dog, and it's 900 feet. I was at the end, I was at the road end of the lane when I turned around, and I looked. If you think 900 feet down the lane and then go clear across the field to the forest, which is another at least 900 feet. And these are very tall trees. So way up in the top of the tree, there was this white circle. And at first I thought, well, I wonder if that's a bird or some kind of nest up there that I'm seeing. Well, I got my phone out, and I couldn't make my phone work. iPhone wouldn't work. I couldn't see it any closer. So I said, well, I'll take a look when I go down later this afternoon and get the mail. So I went down to get the mail about 3 hours later, maybe 4, but a few hours later, and I looked, and that white circle, a disc of some sort, was still high up in the trees. I had binoculars, but my binoculars are small. And so I really could not get a close look. And I couldn't get in. I'm not going to walk into the cornfield. Um, it's not, believe me, you don't walk through a cornfield. Maybe a farmer does, but I don't walk through a cornfield, and I just had sandals on. So, but I couldn't really, it looked like a balloon, but from that distance, I mean, it looked about like this big. So it couldn't have been a balloon, but what was it? I have no idea, honestly. So later, maybe an hour later, uh, if that, not even that. Again, I got my iPhone out and again did try to take a photograph and it would not work. I could not take a photograph. My phone just wouldn't work. So I went back and I'm doing things in the house and a friend called. And so I asked her what she was getting. And I won't share that with you because I don't want to influence any of you what you think it might be. But she said, go see if it's still there. And this was probably less than an hour from the last time I'd seen it. I went out and it was gone. It was completely gone. Nothing there. No white round disc. And again, from my perspective, which was 900 feet at this end of the lane and then 900 feet or so or more across the field, I'm seeing this white disc high up in the air in the top of the trees. What is it? I have no idea. But if you have an idea, put your comments below and let's get a discussion going because this is kind of interesting. I'll also put it out on Facebook and see if anybody has any idea there. I want to say hello to Greg. Welcome, Greg. Glad to see you. And for the person who asked the question, Greg is saying, what a great question and an even better answer. So thank you for bringing your questions forward. We have a couple of questions in the queue, so we are open to more questions. Let us know what they are, and Phillip will answer them for you. Thank you all for being here today. Please take care of yourselves. I can't stress that strongly enough because the energy is pretty tough right now. I love you. I'm grateful you've been here with me. Thank you for receiving my love, and thank you for the love that you send to us. Until next week, my friends, I'll see you then. Bye.